Hello, and welcome to another GDIT Perspectives piece. I'm Tim Gilday, Senior Director of Emerging Technology at GDIT. I have the honor today to be with Todd Isaacs, Director of Innovation. Innovation in emerging tech is clearly an important thing, but it's also an overused term. So we're going to dig deep and find out how it relates and what it means in GDIT's space and with our customers. So Todd, thank you for being here today. Can you give us a little bit of your background for the audience?
Sure, Tim. Thanks for having me. My background, I've been in the defense industry for over 20 years, spanning multiple domains, everything from software development to DevOps engineering and IRAD principal investigation. Currently, as you mentioned, I'm the Director of Innovation, so that means I lead a number of our initiatives for technical literacy, horizontal integration across our contracts, trying to really connect that distributed technical expertise and bring those employees together. I'm also responsible for our internship research and development program, a year-round program that helps not only develop new capabilities for our customers, but also introduces new talent and solutions into our company.
Well, very nice to have you here again, and I'm just going to dive right in. So innovation, like I said earlier, it's a highly overused buzzword, but it does have meaning. So first of all, I want to understand, what is our definition, right? How do you define it? And then why do we try to take a consistent approach to innovation?
Yeah, sure thing. For me, innovation is guided change. It's really looking at your org structure, looking at your technical stack, and seeing what's acting on it and how you can guide that change to really take advantage of it and introduce new ideas. Being innovative is as much as how we bill our customers as what solutions we're bringing to them. But innovation is almost always disruptive. And it's hard because it's easier not to do anything, at least in the short term, to not disrupt the way people are working, to not bring in new tools, to not bring in new responsibilities. But if you're not guiding the change, then that's inherently infecting your organization. You're being pushed around by it. Especially in the defense industry, we really need to remain ahead of that curve because we have adversaries that are actively working against us to shape that change in ways for their interests. And there's just too many people and missions that are counting on us to sit back and take the easy route.
That's a good point. So the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, that's not going to work when we're on a world stage.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then tell me a little bit more about what kind of innovation, since it's a huge umbrella, what type of innovation does your team focus on, and how is this related to yet different from the concept of emerging technology?
Sure, yeah. When we talk about innovation, we mean contract-adjacent innovation. So not looking out there to boil the ocean or create a framework that solves problems across many areas. It's really taking a specific mission need and capability that can be applied to a specific problem and innovating around that, developing a solution that our customer can immediately apply to help improve whatever problem they happen to be facing. And for us, emerging technology is a great tool in our toolbox. Bringing in interns who are, of course, new to the industry and placing them with vendors who may not have the insight into our customer spaces. We have senior technologists that are able to act as advisors and frame those issues for our interns and enable them to apply that emerging technology against real-world problems and convince customers who may have otherwise been reluctant to bring in those capabilities. We demonstrate to them how it could make their organization better. And we've seen a lot of progress there.
So I've seen a lot of creative people and people who, if you give them the opportunity, can bring great ideas to the table. But it's not often as easy to innovate as we think, especially when you're immediately at the task. Sometimes coming up with the right idea, the practical idea, it isn't that easy. So how, in our situations with government customers where we have applied situations or practical situations, what's the key to generating that kind of meaningful and consistent innovation?
I think it's cliche, but really people are the key. We need to motivate them and encourage them to trust us as leaders that we're going to be good stewards of their ideas. From a bottoms-up perspective, the ideas that we get oftentimes for innovation, especially when it's contract-adjacent innovation, is from our employees, from those that are supporting our customers directly. We need to, we start out, we need to hire and grow those individuals that really value the innovation, and the research and development internships help identify those people and really helps encourage their interest in innovation. They go off into the rest of the organization with new skills and interest, and they help create that innovation engine. So we have to ensure our people are trusting us and trust them in return, and then also grow and invest in them so they can see the values of innovation. Really like Maslow's needs hierarchy, we need to ensure that they're doing meaningful work, that those basic things are taken care of before we can expect them to then look to provide innovative ideas and innovative actions. At the end, this bottoms-up innovation engine really excites your organization, and it helps generate those ideas, and it helps bring people into the innovation process.
So the bottom up, so you're creating a culture where we bring those new employees in, we inspire them and teach them how to consistently innovate. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen you do the same thing, like you're saying, great, we're planting seeds that will propagate across our organization and get onto government contracts and support them with that mindset. But I've also seen you bring teams specifically to programs or to internal corporate situations where you're trying to help not only solve an immediate problem where innovation is necessary, but also to help, even when you and your team are gone, to help us to be able to continue to fish for ourselves. So what are some of the key aspects when you're teaching a culture of innovation that is self-sustaining?
Yeah, so from the top-down perspective, it really is trying to harness that inherently chaotic nature of change and trying to develop a process around that to help ensure that ideas are moving through and we're doing it in a way that really benefits the organization. You start out with this idea registry that everyone in the company can contribute to, because really, anybody can be innovative, and if they feel supported, they'll help share those ideas. So you start out with that innovation registry, and then you look at the ideas from the lens of an overlapping Venn diagram. Is it something that our team can do? Is it something that the customer is interested in? And really, is it something that the company is interested in doing? And in the places that we see those three things overlapping, those are the ideas that make it into the next level, which is our shark tank. We have our own sharks that are often our technical leaders as well as our program leaders that may have some additional industry knowledge and experience and customer intimacy to tell us that these are the right things that we should be working on. We rack and stack them from there, and based upon the resources, we then move them into our innovation process to see them created and really prototyped most often, and sometimes just even researched and those reports provided. Oftentimes with our research and development internship, it's a pretty accelerated process. Maybe 10 to 12 weeks end to end that our interns are really focusing on these problems. And at the end, it's a presentation to demonstrate what they've created, and then move it on to our customer space to see how we can pilot it and how we can bring it into their environment successfully.
So great. You told me that people are obviously the center of this, but you're empowering them with tools and technology and processes. And what I'm hearing is the innovation or idea registry, this list where you capture ideas. And part of the culture is you want people, teammates, to be able to see that their idea will follow a process. It will get added to this registry. It will be seen, reviewed, and prioritized. So how do you figure out what is a good idea or a top idea to prioritize versus other ideas that you might want to leave for later?
Yeah, I think it's really about identifying the customer impact and ensuring that on the other side of it, that our employees have transparency into the process. Nobody likes to provide an idea that they've really valued and have spent time generating and care about to a degree, and then never hear anything back. So the idea registry will be transparent, ensure that people see what steps their ideas have moved through the process, and then the way that the technical leadership often selects those ideas is looking at how much level of effort is necessary to accomplish this. Is this something that our competitors are currently working on, and is there value in repeating that work? It's truly about not being only guiding that change, but finding unique ways to guide that change. And that's really where we look to be innovative. Oftentimes innovation is taking existing tools and combining them in an interesting way and demonstrating a new capability that way, instead of just building something from whole cloth. And we really try to focus on things that at the end of the day can be delivered to our customer in a very immediate way, and looks at what their mission goals are and impacts those significantly as well.
All right, so I guess the ideal then would be lowest level of effort, highest impact, move those to the top as much as possible. Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, very practical. And that's the whole point of this discussion. Innovation is that pie in the sky kind of thing, and it's fun, it's exciting to be a part of it sometimes, but if we don't have practical outcomes, was it worth it? So now we've talked about the process, which is very important, but how do you actually encourage teammates and customers to participate in this to gain that value in the first place?
Yeah, it's going back to really where people are the key. We need to make sure that they're properly motivated and encouraged to complete this. You'll have a certain type of person that's always willing to jump in, provide the ideas, assist with that research and development and innovation, because there's really a intrinsic reward when it comes to creativity. But we have to be careful not to burn that person out. Oftentimes ensuring that person benefits from the success of the item, recognition, other types of rewards really encourages that person to remain engaged. But that's also a small part of the organization. We have a much larger part where the motivation really has to happen extrinsically, and defining ways to get them in there, because anybody can be innovative. And the one thing that I always think about is there an innovation goal, an objective on an employee's performance review? That demonstrates, if there is, that demonstrates that their leadership values that they want them thinking about those things and participating in the innovation process. If there's not, what are we telling our employees? And really, the vast majority, that might not be a focus for them, because they're looking at what their goals are and what they should be accomplishing. And, it's probably falls to the wayside because of the other things that may be, have more of a leadership focus for them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like it's a holistic approach to encouraging that culture, right? Well, okay, so you've talked about the process, very important. You've talked about how to encourage and grow that culture of innovation. But then the last part is, how do you measure the impact of innovation? Because we could subjectively say we did good and something is better than it was yesterday, but how do we know? So how do we measure that?
Yeah, it's really hard. It often is an ephemeral thing, but you walk into an environment and you really need to take that baseline before you apply the innovation. Looking at the quantitative and qualitative measures of an area. Quantitative may be how many reports are being generated, or how much time it does to take to do a specific task, or how many people are in the environment to accomplish the goals. But all it really comes, what it really comes down to is looking at what that customer is focused on. What are they judged on? What are those metrics? And defining where that sits pre-innovation, and hopefully where that sits better post-innovation. And then it also helps direct that contract-adjacent innovation if we're focused on those particular metrics. If we're doing technology for technology's sake and it's affecting metrics that aren't in the customer's view when it comes to that, those are not things that we want to be working on. They're not valuable things for our customers. On the qualitative side, that's a little harder, but in my opinion, some ways even more important. It's morale, it's retention, it's training, it's are people growing in their jobs? Are they moving on to that next step because they took an R&D vacation and they were able to participate in a project that gave them a skill that they didn't have, and now they're even more valuable to our organization and our customers. That's what I measure innovation by. Are we making real changes in our mission space and increasing the success of our customers? And are we making changes for our employees as well, and increasing their effectiveness and enjoyment and really their careers?
Well, it's hard to boil down everything under this innovation space, but to me, you've expressed it very clearly. So at the end of the day, it sounds like we're trying to adapt to the uniqueness of every different environment. I know that there are some similar systems, some similar processes, but each customer has a lot of differences. So that baseline you're talking about, whether it's a system, a process, or some other initiative, you're finding that starting point, and whether it's risk, cost, time, errors, whatever, you're finding those quantitative variables in there, trying to map them as is, and then you're measuring throughout the change and then the future state.
Yep.
Okay. So now let's say we've talked through all the critical pieces, right? The culture, the process, the measurement. Can you actually give us a tangible use case that encompasses everything that we've just talked about?
Yeah, the interns in the research and development program have created multiple great projects, but the one that really stands out for me as we start to move out of the current environment is COVID. It's been on all our minds. It's still something that we're dealing with on a regular basis. But for many companies, it changed the environment almost overnight. We really had to accelerate that workplace of the future idea that was very slowly being adopted, but suddenly we're all taking virtual meetings and we're working from home and we're bringing our own device and 100 other things. And at that time, it was looking at more our customers internally. How can we support the company in the work that they're doing to ensure that our employees are more efficient in general? And one of the ideas that we came up with was a way to condense meetings to a more ingestible format for busy people. We've all been in that situation where we've missed a meeting and the recording's available and it's stored on a server somewhere, but we just never get back to it. And we may miss that content. It may be something that would have helped us in the future or understand a current problem. But yeah, looking at that, we talked to our team and said, what can we do within the existing technology stack and make a tool to solve this particular problem? The tool that we came up with was called Condenser. And it would take a PowerPoint presentation / video and create a transcription as well as a PDF of all the slides based upon how the screen was changing and who was speaking at the time, identifying them. A lot of technologies that are often separate, but combining them together in a use case to support our team. And it was presented at the end of the session and really well received by those that had a chance to try it out.
Yeah, I know you said earlier, that's a great example. Innovation doesn't have to be around emerging technology, but I love in this example in particular that you used some very advanced technology to be able to adapt to a pandemic, a complete 180 in the way that we do business. So, Todd, I'm very thankful that you were able to make time to come on today to GDIT Perspectives. I want to thank you again, and I hope our audience got a lot out of this. You're welcome to follow up online, but we wish you a great day. Thank you again.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Bye-bye.